I'm Nitendra Rajput. I work for IBM Research in New Delhi, and I work on the Spoken Web project, which involves how do you get the next billion population to start using IT services. And my specific focus of work in this project is on spoken web search. Sure, yes. So I was organizing the spoken web search task here at Mediaeval, and there were 5 participant groups who evaluated that data and used our data to build their systems. And yeah, it was a very humbling experience to see how much effort people put in your data on your problem, just because they find that challenge, the research challenge, interesting. So it was very humbling to note that. And in terms of the task itself was actually very hard. So it was great to notice the results that they have achieved, which they presented here today. Sure. So interestingly, all the 5 approaches, at least the 2 that got the best results, interestingly, they are not looking at the standard speech recognition issue to solve spoken web search problem, because there has been a lot of work in speech recognition and people tend to use those techniques to solve everything related to audio content. And the ones that got best results are the ones that are using the preliminary features, phoneme-based recognition and dynamic time warping kind of techniques, which are very basic to core speech processing, which is what is being used out here. Perhaps because of the different nature of the problem, but it was interesting to see that they deviated from the standard approaches and came back to the basics and then started getting better results using those approaches. So that was perhaps the most interesting insight that I got from this workshop. Yes, actually there is a large amount of user-generated content that is coming up these days, and the task that we just came out from is looking at genre detection, but that is looking at genre detection from videos that have been created semi-professionally by people. They are not like standard broadcast videos. And the problem with, again, the problem with such user-generated content is that it's not very standardized. So it is even more difficult to work on this kind of data, which is what at least this other task was also focusing on. So yes, Mediaeval is looking at non-standard data sets, but more realistic in the real world, definitely. Well, so last year was my first year, and I had no clue about what Mediaeval is. I had come here to figure out if it makes sense to do a spoken web search task here, and would that interest the Mediaeval participants. And this year we have that task here, and people worked on it, and my perspective on the whole workshop has changed completely, because now I know internally how it works and what it takes to actually organize a task and what it takes for people to actually work on that data set and so on. One generic comment on Mediaeval is that I find this to be a very closed community of people working together, and the kind of interactions that people have in this, I don't know whether it is because of the fact that this is a very focused workshop or whatever, but even if you go to conferences of a smaller size, you won't find that closeness between people, and I'm experiencing that even more this year because I'm now part of that same community for the second time. So the closeness is, I think, something that is very special to this workshop. I think the most exciting thing for me in this workshop is the way people collaborate to come up with with what needs to be done in this workshop maybe next year and so on. So it's more collaborative in that sense. It's not that there's this one person who runs the entire show in terms of deciding what needs to be done. It's very closed from that point of view. That agenda discussion as to what needs to be done is from the community itself, which perhaps is the most exciting and differentiating thing about this workshop. Well, that all depends on how people would want to take the tasks forward in which I am involved. But from a community perspective, I would want to definitely stay connected to it, and if possible, definitely I would want to come back to the workshop.